Most people never succeed with content creation, not because they lack the talent, but rather because, like most things in life, they give up too soon. Consistency is half the ball game here. And the truth is, it can take months, even up to a full year, before you see significant results from your efforts. Just like investing, it's not about timing the market with one viral video, but rather your time in the market that is going to determine your future success. Over the past 3 months, I have finally, for the first time ever, managed to stay consistent with my content creation efforts here on YouTube, even while running a fully booked marketing consultancy. So in this video, I want to break down several content creation hacks I've picked up over the past couple months that are allowing me to stay consistent and produce 3 long-form YouTube videos per week for the first time ever. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Bailey Canning. I'm an independent full-stack marketing strategist working with my clients on brand strategy engagements, web design and development projects, and ongoing marketing retainers. Before we really dive into the tactics that are going to allow you to stay consistent, first we have to start with your why. Because if you don't have a guiding principle or goal that is guiding you, that is going to allow you to stay motivated even in the tough times, then quite frankly, you're bound to fail. So I can't help you figure out what your why is for the reasons why you want to produce content online. But for me, I can tell you that in the short form, I am using YouTube and other platforms like LinkedIn to allow my company, my marketing consultancy, to generate leads and increase revenue. This is my main sales channel. However, in the medium to long term, I am very interested in building an audience and eventually branching out and pursuing different entrepreneurial activities. And I believe building an audience online of people who know and trust you is one of the most clear-cut ways to establish additional revenue streams, many of them passive. And there's that famous saying about millionaires, how they often have 7 to 10 different income streams. So that's what I'm trying to build on this YouTube channel. You first must start with your why and your goal, because this is what's going to allow you to stay consistent during the tough times. Now, the number one piece of advice I can give you here when it comes to finally staying consistent with your content creation efforts is going to be the idea of batch recording. And it's exactly what it sounds like. So for me, for example, as I am regularly producing 3 YouTube videos per week, that's my goal. Every Tuesday morning, I sit down and record these 3 videos in one setting. Mondays are spent planning the videos, and then Tuesdays, I'm filming the videos. And this way, by Tuesday afternoon, lunchtime, I've already slayed the dragon, so to speak. I've already accomplished one of my top priorities for the week. And for the rest of the week, all I need to do is focusing on editing the content, creating the thumbnails, and then of course, publishing. Whether you're trying to grow on YouTube with long-form content or on the short-form social media content channels like Instagram, TikTok, batch recording is absolutely essential. The next piece of advice I could give you is to keep it simple, especially when you're first getting started out and you don't have much of a following online. As you look at other influencers, and I know I do myself, you might be tempted to think that your videos need to be as polished and as cinematic as theirs. But the truth of the matter is, especially when you're first getting started out, I would say anyone under like 10 to 20,000 subscribers, you really just need to be putting out the content consistently. And one way you can do that is to be keeping it simple. So you don't need a bunch of bells and whistles. You don't need to have some really complicated editing effects. And you certainly don't need to be adding B-roll everywhere in the video. Rather, I would just focus on getting the content out, and as you grow, then maybe you can focus on quality over quantity and try to produce more cinematic videos. But for just getting started out, keep it simple. It's gonna make the editing simple later on. It's gonna make the filming much simpler, and it's going to allow you to get out of your head thinking you need to produce these high quality cinematic videos. And just by talking to the camera more and more often, you're gonna get into a groove, you're gonna get into a rhythm, and you're really gonna become more confident. I used to try to make videos more cinematic with more B-roll, but ever since I purposely have kept it simple, I found it much easier to be consistent myself. Trust me, there are plenty of creators online with huge audiences that have relatively simple videos. It's not about how high quality your videos are in terms of the final edit. Rather, it's about who you are and what you want to say. And if you've got something compelling, you're going to build an audience. The next thing I want to talk about is selecting the right editing tool to actually edit your videos. Now, there's a bunch of tools out there. I'm sure you all know about Premiere and Final Cut and DaVinci Resolve. For me, I don't use any of those tools, although I won't rule it out in the future. Rather, I use a video editing tool called Descript, which I've made videos on this channel before about how I use that in my editing workflow. But Descript has allowed me to save so much time on all these video edits, whether I'm producing a talking head style video like this, a screen recording video, or even a vlog. Every edit's only taking me about 1 hour, and this is because it has a transcript-like editing feature. So all I need to do is edit the transcript, and then it automatically takes care of the corresponding video edit. And then also there are a bunch of AI tools built in that take off like 80% of the edit right away. So Descript is saving me so much time, highly recommended. Long story short, your editing tool should speed up the process, not slow you down. The next thing I'd recommend here is that you really need to plan out your videos ahead of time. Honestly, just taking 15 to 20 minutes to brainstorm a bunch of video titles, write out a hook. Most importantly, I would say though, plan out the thumbnail. So have a very clear idea of what your thumbnail is going to be. This is of course YouTube specific, but you don't want to record a video, edit the video, and then it's time to publish, but then you have no idea what the thumbnail is going to be. The thumbnail is very important. It's essentially the movie poster for your video, and you really need it to be well designed if you actually want to get people to click on the video in the first place. So for me, I have an entire content planner that I've developed for myself in Notion that makes creating these video plans and scripts very straightforward. It's basically an SOP checklist I just follow. And then as part of that, I will always plan out the thumbnail. So after filming the video, I know exactly what sort of thumbnail photo I need to take. And then when it comes to create the thumbnail later on, it only takes me about 30 to 60 minutes or so. If you're getting value out of this video and you've been struggling to stay consistent with your content creation efforts so far, I highly recommend you book a call with me, because as one of the many ways I'm helping my clients with marketing, content creation has become one of the key ways where I'm now helping several clients plan a content calendar, outline the video scripts, hold recording sessions remotely with my clients, and then ultimately have either me or someone on my team that I hire edit the videos and produce the videos. So if you are struggling with your content creation efforts, whether you're the CEO of a company or you're a marketing director overseeing a marketing team that's looking to produce content, and you finally want to stay consistent, book a call with me. I can help you map out an exact content creation game plan. There's a link in the description with an interactive 5-minute video form. Fill it out, and if you're qualified, you'll be able to book time directly on my calendar. The next thing I want to talk about, and this might be a bit counterintuitive, but I recommend that you invest in proper gear. So I'm talking about having a nice camera. You don't need to go crazy, but any of the Sony ZV lines, for example, are a great starting point. Those are the exact cameras I've been using on my channel. I recommend getting a high quality mic. I use the DJI mic plugged into a lapel microphone. And then I also recommend getting some lights if that would be applicable to your recording setup. I mention this because I think it's important to put your money where your mouth is, and really, if you spend $1,000 to $2,000 on all this video recording equipment, now I'm not telling you to go run up debt on a credit card. I'm telling you to save up for this and spend it responsibly. But I think it's important because your brain is going to tell yourself that, hey, I just dropped $1,000 on this camera, a couple $100 on these microphones. I better record some videos, or else it was all just a waste of money. There's just something that's unquantifiable that comes from actually having a proper camera and proper gear. So by investing in proper equipment, I think that is going to help motivate you, if nothing else. All right, now this is something I had not talked about on the channel previously. It's a bit more personal, but I would really be remiss if I didn't include it, because I would say this is one of the top reasons why I've been able to be so consistent the past 3 months recording and producing content here on YouTube consistently. And that is because about 3 months ago, I was very motivated to take my discipline to the next level. And as part of that, I have stopped smoking marijuana when I was a daily smoker essentially, and I've stopped drinking alcohol, even though that was only a couple times per week socially. But I can tell you, ever since doing that nearly 3 months ago, I have had way more motivation and drive to actually sit down and record these videos. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life. I'm just sharing my personal experience. And I can just tell you, when you're getting dopamine flooded into your brain from those sorts of activities, it's just a recipe for disaster, quite frankly. You should only be getting dopamine from doing hard things and actually accomplishing things. So for me, I'm not getting dopamine anymore from devices. I'm getting dopamine from recording these videos, editing the videos, publishing them, and then seeing the comments and the subscriber count grow. Honestly, I would not have thought that giving up these vices would have made this big of a difference. I guess you just get used to it over time and then it becomes your daily reality. But I can tell you, I've never felt better about myself, never been more confident, never been more self-assured and more positive. And I think almost everyone would benefit from it. So keep that in mind. If you've been struggling to have the motivation and drive to produce content, I can tell you many times after drinking or smoking the night prior, I would wake up. My plan on paper was to record the content, but then I would just make an excuse. I'd say I could do it the next day, and then long story short, it would never get done. So again, I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, but I'm just telling you, for me, this has been a total game changer. Last but not least, I want to address the idea that you probably worry about feeling cringe posting content online, especially if you just get started with it, or perhaps you're afraid of what your high school friends are going to say on Instagram or what your colleagues are going to say on LinkedIn. If you want to be successful with content creation online, you need to risk looking cringe. Quite honestly, you're probably going to come off as cringe, but that's just how it goes. The question is, do you care more about what people think about you, or do you care more about what you think of yourself? I must say also that regularly recording content like I have on camera has allowed me to become much better spoken, whether it just be in the tonality of my voice, speaking from the diaphragm to speak a bit deeper, and just being able to communicate my thoughts clearly and concisely. I can tell you, if you do this consistently, you are going to be in the top 5 to 10% of the population easily when it comes to your public communication skills. This is going to benefit you massively, both professionally and personally in your day-to-day interactions. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got a lot of actionable advice that you can begin to implement in your day-to-day in order to finally be consistent with your content creation efforts and hit those goals that you have established for yourself. If you have any questions or anything you want to add to the conversation, drop a comment and I'll get back to you when I can. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye.